It's not Mock Draft Monday, it's Mock Draft Tuesday because the NFL keeps doing multiple Monday night games, and it affects the order enough to where I like to push it back to Tuesday when it makes sense. And I don't want to do them every single week because it's still fairly early in the year. But with that being said, we are ready to kick things off with the New York Jets at number 1 overall. I think when you talk about which position goes at number 1, it's typically quarterback, and who's played the best at that position in college football this year, I think it's Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. And of course, we've been on this train now for a while. Of course, he's a friend of the channel, so you know he's really got it going on upstairs. But also he was formerly committed to Yale and then Cal Berkeley and now Indiana. Curt Cignetti, by the way, incredible head coach. This guy just wins. Goes to Oregon and beats the Ducks. That's such a tough win. And it was a fun quarterback battle. I know, some made mistakes, and Fernando Mendoza did, and still was able to bounce back and lead a big-time drive. Dante Moore wasn't perfect, but still was able to make some big-time plays when Oregon needed him, and that's why, for me, he's going to be the number 2 overall pick. Yes, there's a decent chance he goes back to school, and I think he could benefit from another year, no question. But if he can potentially get drafted in the top 5 or the top 10, the first round, he's going to declare, almost certainly, right? This is what happens with these quarterbacks, and really any player. If you can, for sure, get drafted high in the first round, declare. Because it's life-changing money. There is no telling what's going to happen. Look at Drew Aller, for example. It's kind of a cautionary tale. Take the money when you can get it. If you got a chance to go round 1, and I'm not saying necessarily Drew Aller would have for sure, but it was a weaker quarterback class, so you got a better chance. Jackson Dart was not a perfect prospect by any means, and he went round 1. And now he's balling out, which I'm happy to admit I underestimated his ability. And I'm super excited that I did as a Giants fan. Things might actually be looking up. But Dante Moore to the Browns is kind of a fun pick because he's from Cleveland. And I don't know that any of the quarterbacks in this class outside of Lenore Sellers are super, super toolsy. But I don't know that you necessarily need to be. The most important aspects of playing the quarterback position are not necessarily athleticism related. Yeah, you have to have a good arm and have, plus arm talent. That generally helps. But it's processing speed and the ability to be not necessarily just careful with the football, but not put the ball into harm's way while still being able to make big-time plays happen. I think both of these quarterbacks have shown the ability to do that. Dante Moore, I think more in a translatable offense. Mendoza a little bit less so. It's very RPO focused at Indiana. But I think both these quarterbacks have played well. And I think Ty Simpson, because people are going to ask and skip around, has played as well as any of them after the Florida State game. We'll talk about him a little bit later. At number 3, though, we have the Ravens. Never would have thought that the Ravens would have been picking this high in the draft, but here they are. A lot of season left to be played, but this team without Lamar Jackson is very, 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 very bad. And does that prove that Lamar should have been the MVP last year? It's a different season. Who knows? But they obviously don't need quarterback. Ruben Bain has been the best player maybe in college football this season. The Ravens trade Odafe Owe to the Chargers. They could have used more help off the edge anyway. Enter the most disruptive player in college football here in 2025. As we get to the Dolphins at 4, you're assuming no Mike McDaniel at this point. And we're going to get a little bit crazy, but is it crazy? I'm going to go Lenore Sellers here. Quarterback out of South Carolina. I think he's been playing better than the numbers would show. He's really not getting any help at South Carolina. And still, on the few chances he has to go down the field, he's been pretty accurate. Which I think the whole book on Lenore Sellers, people see, big athletic quarterback, probably not that accurate. But that's not really necessarily the problem with Lenore Sellers. It's just getting more reps under his belt, more experience, and he's in a tough situation right now, but he's making the most of it. I know South Carolina football is not great, but Sellers is a developmental quarterback. We know these guys can get drafted pretty highly, and Sellers, again, has played better than the stats would show, but you guys, hopefully on this channel at this point, know that stats are not everything. They're a piece of the puzzle, but really actually watching them play is going to be the most important thing as we get to the Saints at 5. The last thing I'll say about the Dolphins is, yeah, I get the Tua contract. You have an out in 2027, so have Sellers sit for a year and then take over the reins potentially some way through 2026 or 2027, and then cut Tua Tagovailoa or trade him, and you actually do have an out in the contract, you're able to do that following 2026, but you would need to have him on the roster for another year. Financially, that's kind of how it makes sense, but you never know nowadays with the way teams manage the cap. At number 5, though, we have the New Orleans Saints, and I'll tell you what, it's not a quarterback for me right now because Spencer Rattler has played great. He's really been an awesome part of this Saints team. The problem is there's not really a whole lot else there. And I know you need more help on offense. Receiver, you could think would be in play here. The defense is quite poor. For me, what really it came down to on this pick was just taking the best player available at the most valuable position. And I think that's Peter Woods. He's a great player. He's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the entire draft. And the Saints could certainly use help on the interior. Brian Brzee has not been everything you could have dreamed of. And really the rest of the interior defensive line isn't great either. So Woods here could come in and potentially be a difference maker. Maybe Saints fans are like, oh, another Clemson defensive lineman. But Peter Woods is a really, really good player, even if Clemson has not played great this year, even if he didn't take as big of a step up as you would have thought after 2024. He could be a special type of player. He's worth the pick here. Saints are in a bit of a weird spot, but I think coming away with Peter Woods would be a pretty good return here with the number 5 pick. Titans at 6. Just fired Brian Callahan. Bill Callahan, of course, leaving the team as well. That would have been weird to stick around. Probably his son, of course, got fired, and he's just going to stay as the O-line coach. Not happening. He's gone, but this Titans team is a mess. I think, even with the Jets, I think the Titans may be the worst team in football. If not for an all-time collapse from the Cardinals, this team would not have a win right now. The Titans are a really, really tough team to watch play, and Cam Ward has looked bad at times, but he's also made some big-time plays. He's looked good and he's looked bad. The situation's terrible, and he's playing right away. So you're going to have to take with the good with the bad and hope he can continue to develop. Right now, he needs more receiver help. He needs more O-line help, and I don't know if Kevin Zeitler is going to be a Titan next season. It's a bad situation if you're a Titans fan, unfortunately. You know it, but that's the life of the rebuild. Hopefully they can, get the right head coach in there, and maybe he can turn things around. Maybe Joe Brady, former LSU standout play caller, and then, of course, now with the Buffalo Bills. But with the Titans, I'm going to go receiver Jordan Tyson. He's elevated his game this season. Arizona State's not great. Jordan Tyson has been. He is a bona fide difference maker, and this is a really fun receiver class because you have a couple of guys that are real threats to go in the top 10. Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate. The big 3 probably for me right now. I think Mekhi Lemon could be the best of the 3. He's an awesome player. Tate is probably the best combination of height, weight, speed, and then route running. I know that weight maybe isn't the best because he's sub 200, but he's got the size. He's got the route nuance. He's becoming a really, really good player. I just think Jordan Tyson's on another level right now. I would lean Jordan Tyson. Lemon is an awesome player. He's going to be a draft crush of mine. I'm glad to see PFF moving him up the draft board rankings for them. But Tate, I could also see going in the top 10 very easily. Bengals at 7. Got to protect Joe Burrow. I am going with who I think has been the best lineman in college football this season. That's Francis Maui-Noah from the U. There's a real thought that his best position in the NFL is guard. So even with the tackle situation of the Bengals, I think he's got a chance to potentially start at tackle long term. However, I think more likely you're drafting him to be a guard with tackle capability here at 7. Yes, it's high for a guard, but we're going into the protect Joe Burrow angle, and Francis Maui-Noah is the pick. Could he stick a tackle? I think there's a pretty good chance, yes, but he might be an all-pro or Pro Bowl caliber guard. So you got some options there if you're Cincinnati at 7. Could also see them going defense, obviously, but protecting Joe Burrow, I think, should still continue to be a focus. As we get to the Raiders at 8, I'm going Ty Simpson. Geno, a couple of years ago, was actually quite good. Like, really, really good. Film was great. He was being slept on, underrated, and he goes to the Raiders, 2025 has been a nightmare. He really has not been very good. And with his age and with his level of play, you start to think about potentially going in a different direction. And they have Spytech now as the GM, and he could be looking for his new quarterback. You look at, of course, Pete Carroll there, Chip Kelly calling plays, might want their quarterback. And Ty Simpson could be the guy. Ty Simpson's been awesome. You watch him in the Florida State game week 1. You're like, okay, he's made a couple plays, but it's really been a mixed bag. Hasn't been that great. But each week, this guy continues to get better and better and better, and he's been nearly perfect. Nearly. He's shown lately the ability to improvise more than we had seen in the first few weeks, and he's deadly accurate. He's able to make plays when he needs to. Ty Simpson really is in play to be the first quarterback off the board. I just happen to prefer the top 2. But things could change. It's October 14th. He's been awesome. Raiders try to find their quarterback of the future. At number 9, my favorite team, the New York Giants. It's a weird spot because you do need offensive line help, but when healthy, the tackles are quite good. Andrew Thomas is among the best in the league, and the Jermaine Illuminor is a plus starter at right tackle. Giants may be making wrong moves, trying to make him a guard. He's been a really, really good right tackle. The interior has improved. Guard is a need. Center's really bad. But for the Giants, especially with Francis Mauigoa off the board, you're not taking a guard here. And probably the best so far, the best true guard has been Vega Ione, but you're not taking him here at 9. So who do you take? Do you take Caleb Downs, maybe the best defensive player here in the draft? Do you take Arvell Reese, also firmly in the conversation? PFF has moved him up as they should. He's been incredible this year. But with positional value and how we know the NFL draft works, it's tough to get a linebacker off the board this high. It's tough to get a safety off the board this high. Teams try to draft more valuable positions. So why then am I going to take a tight end? I think we've seen what Brock Bowers can do recently. We've seen how high Kyle Pitts was drafted, and he's starting to really be a contributor in Atlanta. But Kenyon Sadiq is a great, great player. I do like what the Giants have at tight end, but I don't love it. Right? I think Sadiq is potentially worth a top 10 pick. I think he's a top 10 player in this class. So it's like the Giants are taking a tight end, but this guy's such a great receiver. He can block. He's 6'3", close to 250. He's a really, really good run blocker. I love Kenyon Sadiq as a player. I think this would be a really fun fit with the Giants. You're trying to get creative with how you can actually use your playmakers. Malik Neighbors is hurt. I know they need receiver, and there are some good ones available. Yeah, this could easily be Makai Lemon. Could easily be Carnell Tate. Going Kenyon Sadiq because I'm a really big fan of his game. And even though I don't hate what the Giants currently have at tight end, I mean, Theo's played fairly well of late, but I think Sadiq's on another level. And I think if you want to run 12 personnel, and Sadiq even you can split out wide, you get a big body in there that can really go up and get the football. He's just a really fun player. I've been wanting to shine more light on him. I know I had him going like top 5 last mock draft, but I still think he's in firm contention to be a top 10 pick, and I'm going to draft him highly as a result. Cardinals at 10. So I previewed this on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bengal. Link is down in the description. We did it live, and everyone was asking me, why this player at this pick? We need defense. We need O-line. But the O-line group is just not that good right here. So if there's a player that could help you out maybe a little bit more, maybe you'd go that direction. Like Caleb Downs could help. Arvell Reese could certainly help here. I am going with Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. I think we've seen that combination with Marvin Harrison Jr. before, and it's a really, really fun one. And you do need more receiver help in this offense. Marvin Harrison Jr., we started to see glimmers of him being quite a good player. I don't know that you can rely on Michael Wilson, and I like him as a player, but I think with his injury history dating back to college and now being a little bit banged up, and even so, what outside of Michael Wilson do you feel that great about if you're a Cardinals fan? I think wide receiver is certainly something they could consider here for the future. And with the way Carnell Tate has played this year, with his size, with his route running ability, he could just absolutely end up going top 10. He's a really good athlete. And even though I may finish with a higher grade on Makai Lemon, I think Carnell Tate could end up going ahead of him. We know how teams draft, and a lot of it is based on perceived potential and athleticism. And Tate could just be higher, because is Mekhi Lemon going to separate at the same level? Mekhi Lemon is just a dog. I mean, that's what I have to say about him. It doesn't matter how much he can separate, which sounds crazy at receiver, because I'm like, no, you have to be able to. But he still does separate at a decent level. He's so good after the catch. He's so good on contested catches. I think if you can scheme him the football the way we've seen the Lions do with Amon-Ra St. Brown, the way we've seen the Seahawks do with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is really elevated again here in 2025, I think we can definitely see a future for Mekhi Lemon where he is an awesome NFL player, and I'm so high on him as a player. But going Carnell Tate at 10. We'll talk maybe more about Mekhi Lemon later. I guess we'll have to. But at number 11 with the Texans, I'm going to go with an offensive lineman. I'm going Spencer Fano. He just hasn't been as dominant this year, but he got a chance to come in and start at right tackle or even potentially guard. The Texans' O-line is just a bit of a mess right now, and they trade away their best one in Laramie Tunsil. They don't necessarily have a great idea to replace him, because whatever they're doing is not working out. Like, can you really rely on Ariante Ursary? Haven't really been able to so far, and Blake Miller, right, has not been especially good, but Spencer Fano can come in, potentially compete at one of those tackle spots or even guard if you're liking Blake and Ariante Ursary for the future. We'll see, but going Fano here just because you got to protect C.J. Stroud and give this offense a chance. As we get to the Cowboys at 12, I keep doing it because he keeps being available, and it's just a no-brainer pick. It's Arvell Reese to the Cowboys, and sometimes people want to say, oh, you mocked the best player to the Giants, you're so biased. I'm like, dude, this is a make-believe draft. This has no bearing. But I give the teams a player that, to me, makes the most sense at that spot. Like, what could I see them doing? And for the Cowboys, linebacker is a need. And Arvell Reese is a beast. I mean, he's a top 10 player in this draft easily for me right now. He is an easy top 10 player, maybe even top 5. He's been incredible, and he's just got, he's like a juiced up, maybe not even juiced up is right, but he's like a more skilled Jalen Walker. Walker, similar frame, really good athlete, really powerful, but was he as technically sound as Arvell Reese is? I don't think so. I think Arvell Reese has a better skill set than Jalen Walker. And when you take in the size to speed combo of Arvell Reese, like his play strength even is the most impressive. He's 6'4", 245, and this guy bodies offensive linemen like it's nothing. Long arm, hold you in place, shed the block, boom, make the play. He is an incredible quarterback spy, but I think he's more than that. This guy's ability to diagnose is on another level compared to Jalen Walker, and I think that's really where they separate. And I think with his ability also to rush the passer, does Jerry Jones see Micah Parsons and say, we got to replace Michael Parsons? Give me Arvell Reese. Or what would he even call Arvell Reese? I don't know. We're not going to play that game right now. But Reese is incredible, in my opinion. Love him as a player. And he could absolutely go top 10. But it's a little bit tougher to get a linebacker in the top 10 because he is an off-ball type of guy. Even if he can play on the ball, he can rush the passer, and that maybe is his best position in the NFL. But he's just such an awesome player. They're going to find a role for him. Linebacker is such a need for this Cowboys team. They also need to improve their pass rush. I think Reese could be a jack-of-all-trades type of guy, but also a master of some. He's a really good player. Cowboys get him at 12. It's been my favorite pick here. It just keeps happening every mock draft he's available, and he makes sense. Where else does he fit here? Like maybe the Raiders, but quarterback. Maybe the Bengals, but O-line. Maybe the Saints, but Peter Woods plays a more valuable position. I don't know. It's tough. Panthers at 13. I still think this could be a receiver. I also think Caleb Downs makes a ton of sense here, but again, with positional value, he's a safety. He's a great safety. But is he a generational type talent? No, he's not. But he could be an all-pro player. But where does a really good safety get drafted? We saw Kyle Hamilton go at like 14. And he wasn't the perfect prospect either. But Caleb Downs, he's got a lot of Kyle Hamilton's strengths. I really love him as a player. And he makes sense here in this range. But I also think you need to improve the trenches more than safety right now, and there's some really good defensive linemen available. We're going to double duo with Auburn, Keldrick Falk joining Derek Brown, who's such a stud player at this point. But Falk can play off the edge, even though he's like 290. He's an awesome player, would give the Panthers a lot of creativity with their front, and he's just awesome. He's a really awesome player, and with his ability to get after the passer at his size, but also defend the run, he's going to be a first-round pick. The question is how high, because I could see him going top 5 or top 10, but here he goes at 13, and the Panthers look to improve their defense, which is super weak. I also still think receiver could be in play. Chiefs at 14. Are they going to end up picking this high? Probably not. But while they are, give them arguably the best offensive player in the draft, Jeremiah Love, out of Notre Dame. Really incredible athlete. Home run waiting to happen. That's Jeremiah Love. Home run hitter. And the Chiefs need running back help and some other things as well. The pass rush maybe isn't everything you dreamed of. You could use some more depth at corner. I know that on the offensive line, you haven't had the best performance out of guys like Kingsley Suamataia, but running back, it's kind of a vanity pick, but this is a really good team still. And running back, they're just lacking that juice, and Jeremiah Love certainly brings the juice. Commanders at 15 after a loss to the Chicago Bears. What do? Well, they've got to improve their pass rush. Yeah, Caleb Downs makes a lot of sense here. He does. I would not dispute that. Caleb Downs makes sense. He does. I'm going TJ Parker. He plays a more impactful position. He's got 3 down potential with his size. 4 down if they're going to go for it, whatever. But he's got 3 down potential. He can rush the passer. He's a really good athlete. I think the Commanders need to improve their pass rush. And again, it's like, how is Caleb Downs dropping? It's just that he's a safety. Like, that's it. But the fall is over. Caleb Downs, I don't think, has been the best defensive player on his team this year. I think it has been Arvell Reese, but he's been still awesome. And Sonny Styles has been great too. Ohio State's just a great team. Shock. Right? But the Bears could certainly use help at safety. And I don't think you're banking on the future of Kevin Byard. So Caleb Downs enters this Bears defense, and you've got a really, really good piece for the future. Great mind for the game, team leader. I like him in the first half of the first round here. And Caleb Downs is someone that could go earlier. But again, we know how the NFL values some of these positions. Tight end is going higher than safety nowadays. And every player is different. But linebacker, safety, nickel corner, these are not highly drafted positions. And regardless of how you feel about his personality, Brian Branch was a stud prospect. He was just always going to be a nickel or safety. He went with the 45th pick or something in that range. Why? It was clear he was going to be such a great player. He was a great prospect. I think Adam is a top 10 player. He's been great. The NFL didn't think he was good enough to take because he didn't play a super valuable position. So is Caleb Downs going to go top 10? I don't know. So I got him here at 16. Could be a great steal for a team that decides they want to value a safety in the first round. Rams at 17. Quarterback in play. Who are you going to take? You got 2 first-round picks. Who are you going to take? Which quarterback do you actually feel good about here at 17? Mateer, with his hand injury, came back against Texas and got dominated. Nussmeier, not a first-round player with what he's put on tape this year. And what's the upside? He's a little bit undersized. The arm isn't spectacular. So he's got to be an absolute genius to end up being drafted super, super high. And he's made some mistakes. He's been careless with the football at times. It's tough. I think he's got starter potential in the NFL. But is he going to get drafted in round 1? I don't know. I think the Rams is a good spot for him, but it's not going to happen here for me at 17. I think they need to improve their secondary in a big way, and Mansour Delane has been the best defensive back of the draft-eligible corners this year, certainly. He's been really, really good, and Virginia Tech transfer, he's been everything you could have wanted if you're an LSU fan, and the Rams really need corner help. Mansour Delane fits the bill. Vikings at 18. We're going to go corner again. It's Jermod McCoy, and he was incredible last year. Hasn't played this year. He's been hurt. Colton Hood in his wake has been awesome, but Jermod McCoy I just think ends up going higher because he was so good in 2024. We'll see what happens when he comes back, because he's going to play this year. I'm almost certain of it, but we shall see. What if he comes back and misses a step, loses a step? Maybe he doesn't end up being the first or second corner off the board. Bills at 19. It's Sonny Styles for me, and this is an interesting pick. I mean, you need edge rush help. I don't question that. Sonny Styles is an interesting player because he's a former safety that just kept growing, and now he's 6'5", 243. He's absolutely gigantic, but he's a really good athlete. I don't really think he's lost a step too much. So if you want to upgrade at linebacker, Sonny Styles could absolutely help that, and offers you, I think, a sub-package safety, where if you want like a Cam Chancellor type, Sonny Styles, like a true box player, he offers you someone that is not going to be absolutely lost in coverage, despite being huge. Really good player, though. He's going to play linebacker for the future. He's your Tremaine Edmonds replacement, even though it's been a few years now. Broncos at 20. I think Sonny Styles would have made a ton of sense here. And it's actually what I had in my original mock draft, but the original mock draft did not have the Bills losing, and they were picking at 28 as opposed to 19. So I take the best player available that I think fits, and that happened to be Sonny Styles at that point. But what do you do now if you're the Broncos? How do you pivot? Mekhi Lemon, man, I like the fit a lot. I really, really do. I know you can be excited about Troy Franklin or whoever. I know he's not, the number 2, but that would be who you're upgrading if you take Mekhi Lemon. And I respect Courtland Sutton and everybody, but Lemon would be awesome in this offense. I don't think I'm going to do that. I am going to go... It's tough because you could go Connor Lew. If you wanted to go linebacker, CJ Allen has not played at the same level this year as I kind of expected to, based off last year. I still think he could end up being a first-round pick. So it's kind of an interesting spot. I am going to go with... I'm going to go CJ Allen. He's got good overall size. He can be really good when he's going downhill. And again, you got to just ignore the PFF grades. Allen has not been as good this year as he was last year, but he could still end up going in the first round. He's a good athlete. Again, he's great coming downhill. Could end up being a first-round pick. And he goes here at 20. At number 21, we have the Browns back on the board. Took Dante Moore at 2. And I want to get him a receiver for the future. I'm going Mekhi Lemon. I'm a huge Mekhi Lemon fan, as I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. He's just got that it factor. He's great after the catch. He's a great contested catch receiver. He's only like 6 foot, maybe even a little bit less than that. And he plays like he's 6'2", 6'3". He can go up above the rim and make plays. He's an awesome player. Great after the catch, as I said. And it's a fun piece for your rookie quarterback now in Dante Moore. A couple of West Coast guys coming to Cleveland, even though Dante Moore is from Cleveland. Mekhi Lemon, of course, California guy that went to USC. Rams back on the clock. Could you still take a quarterback? I'm sure you could. We're going to go Caden Proctor. This offensive line class is really disappointed this year. Proctor still is up and down, but he's got a ton of potential. He's so big. I mean, he's 6'7", 370. Might be asked to lose a little bit of weight, but you look at the Rams, and right tackle for the future is a need. Caden Proctor could be the fit here at 22. And I'm looking for another tackle to take a step up, because the ones that we thought were going to play great this year, like Caleb Lomu and Isaiah World and Xavier Chaplin, Austin Barber even, these guys just haven't been great. Drew Shelton, honestly, could be in the conversation, moving up, but tackle's been a bit disappointing. Trevor Gooseby, really good athlete, really good size. We'll see what the second half of the year has in store for him, because the Texas O-line in general just has not been very good. He's been a bright spot, but it takes a village, and Texas has not had it on the O-line. I don't know how to feel about Gooseby right now. But we get to the Lions at 23, and they're so thin at corner, and I just think they're going to love Avion Terrell. You look at Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. They love guys that have that dog, guys that go 100%. And Avion Terrell, smaller. He's not A.J. Terrell. He's his little brother, and he's little. But he plays so much bigger than that. And I think when corner is a need, been so banged up there, but even for the future, it's a need. Terrell plays above that size. He's like the Mekhi Lemon of corners. Fun player. Seahawks at 24. I'm going Connor Lew. Get your center of the future. Do the Seahawks finally invest in an interior offensive line? They got Gray Zabel last year. Boom. Starting center of the future, Connor Lew. He hasn't been like incredible this year, but he's been good enough, and sometimes that puts you into the first round. We'll see what the second half of the year has in store. This is going to change a lot as these next few weeks and months go to the draft April 23rd or so. Patriots at 25. Going Quincy Rhodes. Quincy Rhodes is a fun player. Quincy Rhodes was someone I didn't really know about coming into 2025, and then I heard about him, and then I watched him, and I go, like, you can find him instantly. He's like 20 years old. He might not even come out, but at 6'6", 275, he's every bit of 6'6". He's got incredibly long arms, and he really does use them. It's not just, long arms, doesn't know what he's doing with them. He uses them to his advantage to win in the trenches, to track down ball carriers. This is just someone that you watch, and it's immediately clear that he could be drafted very, very highly. It's like watching a Trayvon Walker type of player in a way. And the pass rush bag is not all the way there yet. But I think it's easy to see him as a first-round pick as soon as you flick on the film. He is a really fun player with high potential. And if you look at how it affects the Patriots, you still really need to improve this team. I know offensive line is a need. I just don't see the player there that makes sense for me right now. And I like improving this defense and this pass rush. And Quincy Rhodes is certainly a fun player to develop. Chargers at 26. I think they also need to improve their pass rush. So in the first iteration of this, I had Cassius Howell. And I know they went for Odafe Owe. They made a trade for him, but he's got a club option this year, and he might be gone. He's a free agent. So I'm still going to stick with Cassius Howell. He's got shorter arms, so does that murk or cloud up the projection a little bit? It could, but he's been so good, and he's so fast, and that speed is killer off the edge, and he's a perfect fit for this defense and is a really big help to this pass rush with, I guess, Tuli Tuipulotu for the future. 49ers at 27. Going Denzel Boston. I know they need line here. They need O-line. But am I going Caleb Lomu or Trevor Gooseby? Maybe Isaiah World. I'm going Denzel Boston. Yes, it's a receiver, but we've seen the 49ers do this before where, like, they probably should go something else, and they just add a receiver. And it works for them. And they're getting the most out of Kendrick Bourne right now. And Juwan Jennings, and to their credit, that's great. Denzel Boston gives you some good size in this receiver room. I think your future trio is not going to feature Kendrick Bourne or really Juwan Jennings. He's more of a nice, like, big body blocker and a fourth option, but it's Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, and Denzel Boston, I think. Is receiver the biggest need? No. But getting some size here and some really good athleticism, I think Denzel Boston is a fun fit for the Niners, and don't get any flashbacks to Dante Pettis with a highly drafted Washington 49er receiver. He could end up being a great player. Eagles at 28. They're a little bit not great right now, but a lot of it is to do with their secondary. Cornerback is bad, and Colton Hood could certainly help things out. Adoree Jackson's like a Band-Aid, and yeah, Quinyon Mitchell I think is a great player, but what else do you have on the boundary? Colton Hood joins the group. Cowboys back on the clock after taking Arvell Reese at number 12. Where do you go here if you're Dallas? We know they want to stop the run. Caleb Banks could go a lot higher than this, but he's been hurt, so where does he go? He hasn't really been playing. Do we get Big Citrus in the first round? Dominique Orange. It's an awesome, fun nickname. But no, Amari Washington's played great. He could honestly start getting in this first-round conversation. He honestly feels like a Cowboy. I'm just going to do it. It was not in the original plans, but what does Dallas love more than a big, powerful interior defensive lineman that ultimately becomes nothing? No. That's a Cowboy shot. It has nothing to do with Amari Washington. He's been great. I mean, he had a couple of fun highlights against Indiana where he's just driving offensive linemen back into the quarterback's lap. Had a sack that way on Fernando Mendoza. He's a fun player, and we know how Dallas wants to stop the run. As long as Jerry Jones is alive, he's beefing up the interior D-line, taking Amari Washington. Yes, this pass rush needs to improve, but I see a lot of like either designated pass rusher types because they're a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, or it's like, do they have the pass rush bag like LT Overton? And Mateo Uiagalelei is a bigger body, but he's more of a finesse guy. But I also think could be a good fit at 29 for sure. I think he could be a first-round pick. Although, to me, he is like a JT Tuimoloau, where I'm like, he's a solid player. He'll be a top 50 pick or so, but is he going to be a round one guy? I think he could be. But this type of a player goes anywhere between like 15 and 60. We'll see what happens with him down the line. But Steelers at 30. Quarterback is a need because Aaron Rodgers is a big question mark. Huge question mark. But again, like, what quarterback do you feel good about here? And I think Nussmeier does make sense because he at least gives you a floor, I think. But I mean, we've seen him like turn over the ball so much. It's a bit of a conundrum with Garrett Nussmeier and with the Steelers. What do they do at quarterback? Because if you're going to be good, but also maybe not get another season out of Aaron Rodgers, how are you going to add a quarterback? You've got to draft one either late in the first or on day 2 or 3. Like, who are you actually going to be able to sign that will make a difference? Aaron Rodgers again? I mean, like, that's potentially the best option, and he might not want to do that. It's just a peculiar spot here if you're Pittsburgh. I don't really know. I honestly don't know what they would do here. I think you could look to take a receiver. I like the idea of getting Casey Concepcion in the first round. He's been very nice this year. Chris Bell, I think, is a big-time riser. He'd be a fun combination with DK Metcalf with the size and speed. And I'm going to do that. A lot of fun receivers in this class. I know quarterback is a need. I don't know what to do about it because I don't feel good about any of these QBs going in round 1. But they need quarterback, so I don't know. Bucks at 31. The Bucks are an interesting team. I feel like they're constantly banged up, and it doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield is just making it happen. Could this be a team that takes a receiver? Chris Godwin's always hurt. Mike Evans is going to retire. Emeka Ibuka's awesome, but like Baker Mayfield's throwing touchdowns to players I can't even remember their names. Because I think it was a guy playing in like his second game or his third game. He made his first catch. He was a receiver that has a couple of rushes in his career, and that's it. I can't even remember his name. Also threw a big-time touchdown to Tez Johnson, but receivers a need. And there are some fun players here. I mean, Chris Brazzell is one of these Tennessee receivers where I'm like, what do we do with him? Because the ball skills are not elite, but he's shown pretty good body control. He's got great ability to get down the field. But make no mistake, even at the height, this is not Mike Evans. He is closer to a Dante Thornton from a year ago, or even maybe like Jalen Hyatt. It's tough to, draw comparisons out of these offenses, but he's a long striding, deep threat receiver with, question marks about what he can do everywhere else. But I think he's better than Jalen Hyatt as a prospect at this point. I don't know. I've got questions. I think Jeremy Bernard can end up being a first-round player. Malachi Fields is worth talking about. Eric Singleton is absolutely worth talking about. Zach Branch is a game changer. Nick Harbor could be. But, I mean, where do you draft these guys? I genuinely don't know. This is a fun team that needs a little bit more help. Just because I want to get him in round 1, I'm going Vega Ione. He's the best true guard in this class. And with the Bucks injuries and with the way the offensive line looks right now, I think that guard is a position you could look to upgrade long-term anyway. Vega Ione has been great, and he is going to be the pick here for me at 31. And to wrap things up, we have the Colts. Are the Colts the best team in the NFL? They might be. It is an interesting situation. Under Daniel Jones, I mean, I really can't believe it, but it's happening. And I believe it because I'm watching it happen. Daniel Jones is a completely different player than he was with the Giants, and he has been awesome. What do I want to do here for Indianapolis? I think, honestly, I want to improve their pass rush. I know you drafted Latu pretty high pretty recently, but at the same time, I still want to get something else in there, and we're going to take someone that I comp JT Tuimoloau out to. Not like really, but we're going to go Mateo Uiagalelei. I think he's got a decently high floor. He's got a decent pass rush bag to him. Again, kind of more of a finesse rusher than a power guy at times. But I think he's a good player, someone that could absolutely go round one. And he's got good potential. I think he's going to end up being a solid starter with plus potential. Would it surprise me if he had a double-digit sack season in his career? Absolutely not. So that is the mock draft here. A lot of yapping, a lot of rambling, but I have fun talking about this. I think that's why you guys watch. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you either learned something or maybe you had a thought pop into your head as a result. I'm not sure. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.